Welcome back to Let's Play. Let's get this out of the way first. Let's play Saya and Fuminori. So, you know what? Once again, let's look at comments on the previous parts. So we've not gonna there's only 3 comments. I thought, I'd, mention them, because one comment said that you gotta call the doctor for the true ending, so... I mean, that's just one person, so I don't know if the comment is correct or not. Might be. I mean, would there even be a true ending? Does this even have a sequel or anything? Well, it doesn't necessarily have to have a sequel to have a true ending. But still. Could be that the previous part was not the true ending. I actually had it titled as the true ending, but when I saw that comment when I was about to upload the previous part last night, it's like, I'll change it to the apocalypse ending then, because... yeah. And another comment saying that I'll probably like the other ending better, I hope so. And another comment kinda spoiling something that I already alluded to previously, that I was already spoiled to previously before that. So, spoiled on that twice, essentially. Because if you remember, I was... what even was it, when that text that Fuminori, gave to Saya, was curious what the hell that meant, and I still don't know what that meant. Because it's just a bunch of letters, it was gibberish to me. And I came across a forum, and it had nothing to do with it. And I was just browsing through, just like anyone mentioning it, and then suddenly it's like, oh, it's like when this character, and I'm like, damn it, you spoiled it for me, you son of a bitch forum. Anyways, I hope this takes at least 2 parts, because, after LP talk and all that I do and stuff, so it would, kind of be a pain in the ass, because I've got record for Rune Factory Oceans in the next few days, as well as Digimon World Next Order, and they all take up space, and you gotta take time editing. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Probably have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. So, we return to Fuminori the douchebag. It used to be a privately operated sanatorium hidden amongst the silent trees. After the owners went bankrupt, it remained unsold and was eventually forgotten, It's like each time, between record sessions for this, I have time as think various amounts on the story. And, my opinion changes a bit, or feel like it changes a bit, like, you know what? But at the same time, I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. It's like... I don't know, it's like part of me where I've just been like, you know what? Maybe I do kind of, sympathize a bit with Fuminori. Well, not Fuminori, he's a dick. I still stand by that. It's like, at the start, I sympathized with him. Then he went off the deep end. And he never came back from the deep end, so fuck him. But with Saya, she's just an eldritch abomination. She's not human, so she doesn't have quite the same kind of outlook, So I can feel, a bit sympathy for her, because she's just alone in this alien world to her. It's just a shame that she, basically was like, oh, I know how to resolve this issue. Let's, kill off the human race and replace them with eldritch abominations. But, yeah. It's like, each time when I, think with Fuminori, I'll be like, you know what? Maybe they deserve to be happy together, isolated away from people. But then I remember some of the shit that Fuminori's done. I'm like, he doesn't deserve that. He's a piece of shit. It's like, when he killed Suzumi, I was fine with that. He, was, doing shit to Saya there, so perfectly reasonable for him to have, killed him there. And that's the only guy he's technically killed. But he did try to kill Koji deliberately. He's become a lot more dark and sinister. I mean, he's started out kind of sinister, honestly, in this kind of hates everyone, except for Saya, of course. He always had this kind of edge to him. But, the further the story goes, the more, off the deep end he goes, where he's like, get that scene after the Suzumi gets killed, and he just, starts eating human flesh, knowing what it is, and he's like, you know what? I don't even care. At that point, he was irredeemable in my eyes. That's why. Well, it's not the only reason why I always shitted on Fuminori's character, but it's certainly the big turning point for me. So then he, did that shit to Yo as well, and it's just like, yeah, fuck Fuminori. Also, before I continue on here, I mean, I know I should just get on with the story, but I remember mentioning, Mugen, how I got Saya in that game. I was like, I wanted to, play a bit of Mugen in between, have a bit where I'd be like, okay, I'm going to fight Saya's character in that game. It's like, you know what? It's like, I'm going to kick your ass for what you did. Or something, I don't know. Use, I don't know, Light or something, from Death Note, because I had him as a character as well. Just it's basically press any button, writes in the Death Note, instant win. Something like that. But unfortunately, when my old laptop, died more or less a few years back, I forgot to back up Mugen, so I don't even have that anymore. It's like, shit, how the hell did I forget to do that? What a shame. Draft Sanya to hideout and return to town to make some preparations. I'm finally back at our new refuge. I like this ruin from the moment I saw it. Mountains of construction materials and garbage litter the front yard. Forming a serviceable barricade, this place looks even less likely to receive unwanted attention than our house. I feel like I could just skip this scene, we've already seen it. As my brain sees humans as revolting monsters, places are being tend to think it's stinks or seem covered in filthy slime. Ruins like these, the long empty of life, are the places I find the most restful. And again, another thing that I think about occasionally with Fuminori's character is he's full of shit. Absolute full of shit, some of the things he has said. When he's saying to Sai, it's like, you know what, I would have loved you anyway. It's like, no, you bloody wouldn't. If you saw what you truly looked like, you'd be horrified. I mean, at this point, maybe not, because you're so deep into it, you'd probably be kind of accepted, but you'd definitely be put off if he still sees all these people that look like Eldritch abominations as very off-putting and disgusting to him. So yeah, I think Fuminori's full of shit on that one. I also kind of wonder if maybe, Saya gives off something, It's not just that she is the only normal-looking creature that he sees, but maybe she gives off something. I don't know what it is. Something that will just attract people like Fuminori to her. I don't know. Just find it kind of odd. Go out to let them know I'm not a stranger, then I go down to the basement where they're hiding.
おかえりなさい。車平気だった？
もう全然問題ない。一方通行の標識もどういうのか分かったし、スピードさえ出さなければどこを走っても大丈夫だよ。で、そっちは？
Before I forget, because I feel like, it's an ancient joke at this point. But, I feel like a compulsion to at least mention it once. As fucked up as this story is, still a better love story than Twilight's.
一通り調べたけど、やっぱりあれからずっと人が来た様子はないみたい。ここは安全だよ。
Can you imagine if Twilight was like that? I've never seen any of the films. I think they had books, and I obviously haven't read them if they are. Can you imagine if instead of whatever the hell they are like, they end up like, okay, and suddenly we're gonna take a sharp turn into, Lovecraftian horror.
そうか。 ならいいんだけど。
I'm a little worried that this abandoned building could become a hangout for biker gangs or homeless people.
多分表に積み上げてあるゴミのせい。あれ普通の人間にはちょっと耐えられないんじゃないかな。
Doesn't bother me at all. I rather like it, in fact. Of course, normal people would feel differently.
で、ふみのりの買い物はいいの見つかった？
ああ、もちろん。
I proudly unwrapped the weapon I just brought from the camping goods store. A 1 meter long wood axe, the biggest and sturdiest I could find. It's funny, isn't it? I mean, look how proud and smug he is. I'm gonna easily take that son of a bitch Koji out with this. Saw the previous part. Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, it didn't go well for either of them, but you know, at least Fuminori got his ribs broken.
刃渡り15センチ以上のナイフは銃刀法違反だなって張り紙してあるのに、その隣でこんなもの売ってるんだよ。お笑いだよね。
Grip the axe with both hands, test its dependable weight, then swing it like a baseball bat. That's probably what the issue was with, well, as you know, Koji, you know, mocked him saying, "You've never been in a real fight, have you?" Which is probably true for him. But also, you know, his weapon of choice is a heavy axe. Kind of, you know, it'd probably wear him down easier. And, you know, it takes a lot of energy to swing it. The steel blade sweeps through the air where a person's neck would be. Yo, who's sprawled out on the floor, flinches at the sound and curls himself into a ball.
切れ味とかどう？用で試してみたら？
I don't know, it's moments like this where, like, you know, the sympathy I may have for Saya, as, like, you know, because she's basically an Eldritch abomination. She has, like, no reason to have these, you know, human morals and all that. So it's like as alien to her as she is to us. But, you know, she does sadistic shit like this, and I'm like, you know what, you're not quite sympathetic anymore.
いや、それはちょっと。
It's strange, because then Fuminori's the one who's like, you know what, I'm actually going to be, you know, a bit more, you know, like, you know what, let's not go that far. I definitely wasn't expecting Saya to suggest anything so brutal.
心配いらないよ。今のような体だったら刃物とかの傷は割と簡単に治っちゃうから。
いや、それにしたって痛いだろ。
そっか。うん、そうだね。
It must have slipped her mind completely. She smiles at the oblivious Yo as if to hide her embarrassment and says,
でもさ、痛くされた時のようの声って、それはそれで可愛いよね。
It's kind of a fucked up thing to say.
いや、やっぱり人間に斧で切りかかるってのは気が引けるよ。
It's just so weird. I mean, he knows that his perception of the world is completely fucked up, but he still is like, you know, it doesn't feel right to use an axe on a human, even though Yo has been transformed into an Eldritch abomination, and he's planned to kill Koji, who is very much human.
そうなの？じゃあ、コウジさんは？
そりゃだって。
Should be obvious, but I guess that Saya still doesn't understand.
奴は僕には人間に見えないから、切ろうが潰そうが平気なもんさ。
I mean, like I said, he's saying this kind of stuff. I mean, does he not realize that is probably what Saya actually looks like? It kind of feels like he's almost being a bit insensitive saying this right in front of her, doesn't it?
そんなに違うんだ。
It's like, oh, because he looks kind of like how you actually look, Saya, it's much easier to, you know, kill the son of a bitch.
そうさ。人間には良心があるからね。どんなに憎い人間だろうと、人を殺すと思うとブレーキがかかるもんだ。そこが僕の称賛でもある。
You know, I don't feel like it's really spoil anything because it's the previous part. If someone stumbles upon this part without the previous part, it's like you spoiled the other ending. But, that didn't work out for you, did it? You completely underestimated how, aggressive Koji was gonna be. Of course, he still got screwed in the end, but still.
本当に?
Saya seems awfully subdued. I guess she's concerned about what'll happen when I have it out with Koji.
体格じゃあいつが上だし、普通に喧嘩したんじゃ勝ち目は薄いかもしれないけどね。
And that was proven to be true.
でも、僕にとっての化け物退治が、あいつにとっては人殺しなんだ。こいつは大きいよ。あいつはきっと、最後の瞬間で隙を見せる。
なんだか不安なんだよね。そういう心理戦っていうの、確実じゃないっていうか。
Saya says, softly staring at the flow of unusual gravity. It's weird, isn't it? Because, after seeing how that played out, with that further context and hearing these lines again, it's like, yeah, you're right to be worried about that. She raised her head and looked straight at me.
ねえ、やっぱり私が買った方が良くない？
I appreciate Saya's consideration, even though it could be interpreted as a lack of faith in me. She still put my safety above hers. Nevertheless, I can't accept her heartfelt suggestion.
サヤの腕力だとさ、ヨウみたいな女の子なら楽にねじ伏せられるだろうけど、男を相手には厳しいと思うんだ。
The bitter memory of Saya's rape is still fresh in my mind. So I fall silent for a moment, seeming to understand what I'm thinking, but then comes right back to stubbornly press her case.
でもね、あのおじさんも最初の不意打ちはうまくいったの。大抵の人間はね、さやを見たら力が抜けて動けなくなっちゃうんだよ。病院だってそうだった。平気で話しかけてきたのってふみのりだけだよ。
まあ、それも一理あるかもな。
I can't imagine it personally, but I suppose the prospect Saya's appearance is shocking enough to make someone lose their nerve. And again, if he saw what she truly looked like, would he still love her, or would he, be kind of driven a bit mad? Well, he wouldn't be driven mad, really. Maybe he would, in a despair kind of way. Be like, that's what you really looked like this whole time? I don't know. But, he's already seen people looking like eldritch abominations. He's kind of used to the sight at this point, but, if Saya appeared to him like that the whole time, and he had the senses of her as well, hearing how she sounds, smelling how she actually smells and shit like that, he'd probably be a bit put off, wouldn't he? Despite him being all like, I love you no matter what. I think he's full of shit on that. Suzumi was able to gain the advantage because he had the same condition as me, which let him see Saya as a cute girl. It doesn't necessarily make people weaker, however. Depending on the situation, it can even send someone into a berserk rage and make them hard to put down. In other words, such a tactic would be the same sort of gamble that Saya's worried about.
じゃあさ、さや、こういうのはどうだろうか。
When I tell Saya the new plan that just bumped in my head, her gloomy frown turns into a right smile.
それめえやん。ふみのりって頭いい。
I wouldn't say he's all that smart.
何もそこまで。
It's not exactly a great plan, but I guess the fact that it lessens the risk to me is enough to excite her. She's so easy to please, but that's part of what makes her so cute.
で、いつ頃来るの？コウジさん。
This should be different because he didn't get the call this time.
わからない。いずれ奴の方から電話があるだろう。そしたらここに誘い出して仕留める。
I like how it's kind of highlighted. It's like a text we haven't seen. It's just in a different color here. Well, yeah, grey and white is technically different, but you get the idea. It highlights that it's a new text. Koji will come. I know that he won't leave us alone. We could just keep running now that we've started, but I want to eliminate Koji as soon as possible. Therefore, when he contacts me, I intend to meet with him unless it's an obvious trap.
せっかく人間一人分の肉が仕入れられるのに、ここだと腐らせちゃうね。冷蔵庫ないし。
他の動物を誘う餌にできないか。野良猫とかカラスをおびき寄せてさ。
それ危ないよ。 万が一取り逃した時、よそに持っていかれて他人に見つかったら大騒ぎになるよ。
そっか。それもそうだ。
Humans are extremely dangerous, and their filthy, stinking bodies make me sick just by being nearby. Ironically, however, nothing tastes better than their meat. I truly regret having to abandon our well-stocked fridge. You know, it's shit like that, stuff like that, that makes, it's like, oh, poor Fuminori and Saya, they just want to, no, fuck Fuminori, he's a sick fuck. It's just like, he's so casual about this shit. He's like, oh yeah, you know, that family next door, how that guy brutally killed him, and then I killed that guy because he was doing that, Saya. And then we shoved them all in the fridge, you know, and be like, ooh, lovely taste, nice texture on that. It's like, fuck you, Fuminori. You've completely lost your goddamn mind a long time ago.
まあ、この辺だと森にもいろいろと住んでるから、そんなに食事には困らないんじゃないかな。
I mean, are you purely carnivorous? Can you be like, you know, a bit more like an omnivore, you know? You don't have to have meat all the time, surely.
3人分だよ。大丈夫かい？
任せて。これでもさや、狩りは得意なんだから。頑張っていっぱい捕まえてくるよ。
Yeah, well, we never really see Saya's true form. We only see like bits of the Eldritch Abomination forms. But you know, we have 3 mouths to feed. Are you sure? It's like, I'd imagine Saya being like, you do well realize that my true form has more than 3 mouths, right?
そうか。じゃあ、今日からはサヤが一家の大黒柱だな。
へへ。
Saya giggles happily at my praise. I find these childish qualities of her adorable.
今度はどのぐらいのんびりできるかな。
Because of the casual way she says it, I almost miss the emptiness to which her question leads.
どのぐらいかな。
Saya's right, this won't last forever. No matter how safe this hideout might seem, we'll have to abandon it eventually. Slightest mistake could put our life together in jeopardy, just like when I failed to silence Koji. I wonder how things would have played out if he didn't do that in the first place. Would he have, like, been able to have, you know, somehow... Well, he wouldn't, because, you know, Koji and Yo went to Dr. Tanbo, so... Yeah, you'd eventually, like, you know, one of them would find out about Saya, and then shit would hit the fan. Some dumb kids might decide that this old ruin is a good place to test their courage, or this land might be targeted for new development. With a big L with Saya, I have chosen to live apart from society. You will never find lasting peace in this world teeming with humans, not unless we can somehow escape from it. Again, go to that remote freaking location, you dumb shit, but then again, Tanbo knows about it, and it's currently still there, so that'd be a bit awkward if they showed up one day. It's like, hello, I've been waiting for you.
長い旅だと思えばいいさ。
Pull Saya into my arms and fold my hands around her slender shoulders, then whisper.
どうせ人生なんて旅みたいなものなんだ。永遠に変わらない場所なんてない。時の流れを見送るか、自分自身が流れていくか、それだけの違いだよ。
そうだよね。
Saya smiles softly, perhaps in resignation, perhaps in sadness. Either way, there is peace and contentment in her expression.
それでも一人ぼっちじゃないし、だからさやは寂しくなんかないよ。
Did that last time, didn't I? I have no regrets. As long as I can hold Saya in my arms, I will gladly pay any price. It's just like, we obviously don't see Saya's true form. Like, she's probably, like, you know, we've seen some tentacles and some fleshy mess of whatever the fuck. We've heard descriptions of, like, he's kind of... I mean, the way they're described could be like tentacles, but I can't remember what the word was, but when I looked up, like, Googled it, it's more like a kind of plant thing, which kind of makes sense, really, because of the whole seed and how she, like, talks about, being like dandelions, you know, spreading their seeds. So I imagine, I mean, that's the thing about, you know, Eldritch Abominations and not showing them fully, is you can like let your imagination run wild. So I picture Saya as like, she's got these tentacle things, but I imagine she has like these kind of viney plant-like features as well in there. It's just envisioning, you know, what the head would look like. Like, what would her real face, her true head look like? Does she even have one? Is it just a mass of fleshy nonsense that you usually see in an Eldritch Abomination? I don't know.
それにね、
She adds brightly, trying to cheer me up.
いつかは私たちが人目を忍んで暮らさなくてもよくなる日がきっと来るよ。それは約束してあげるから。
Sounds like a fairy tale, but for some reason she seems absolutely certain.
それは明日かもしれないし、ずっと先のことかもしれない。いつ印が来るのか私にもわからないの。初めてのことだから。ほんのちょっぴり怖いんだけどね。
The way she says that, it's my first time, so even I don't know when the sign will come. We saw what happened in the previous part, unless you didn't watch that. We saw how that played out, so maybe she wasn't lying when she was like, this is just the beginning. I don't know. And you know, with this whole Eldritch Abomination thing, it's just like I said, I've kind of tempted to write a song, but I just can't be asked at the same time. But I occasionally think of lyrics, and I just thought, you know, because, you know, in response to the despair of this story, and one lyric I thought up was, if all else fails, Cthulhu will rise and kick your ass, or something like that. Just picture it in this very same world, you know. All the other Eldritch Abominations from, you know, the Cthulhu mythos are there. Cthulhu rises up and he's like, hey, I'm the true ruler here, bitch. You're not taking over. It's my world to rule or destroy if I feel so, you know, intended to or not. I have no idea what Saya's prophetic words mean, but this isn't the first time that she's said or done something mysterious. She's performed any number of miracles already. Or, you know, have Nyarlathotep intervene. Be like, hey, you're trying to get rid of my favorite toy. I like toying with these humans. You can't be doing that. It's like, hey, Yogsfuff, use your timey-wimey shit. Let's undo this. So that I can, you know, play with the humans.
僕らにも希望があるのかい?
うん。
She says with a cheerful nod.
きっとそれがさやが文則に送ってあげられる最後のプレゼント。さやの最初で最後の務め。
Gonna get new scene. The hands of his watch move with agonizing slowness, as though counting down to the end of the world. Well, if it ends up anything like last time. In the hours since contacting Ryako, Koji went back to his apartment, showered, changed clothes, and even had his first full meal in days. Surprised he could even, eat after what he saw in that fridge. He wanted to take a nap, knowing that he needed the rest, but no matter how hard he tried, his sleep never came. Forcing himself to relax, so he made his nerves colder and sharper. Have we seen this background before? I mean, maybe we've seen the, corrupted version of it in the ending, but I don't think we've seen that. Papa Sonic? Well, it probably is, isn't it? It's like, okay, we want to insert real brands into it, but we're not gonna, be like, hey, can we, use your, logo in, well, we're not gonna even ask, because the answer is either no, or here's our price, and we'd be like, no. So we're just gonna, change it and make it completely different. It's not the same name, but it kind of gives off the general idea of what it is. Nothing else to do, he decides to wander the city until nightfall. Downtown Tokyo is bustling, surrounded by smiling pedestrians, bright lights, and windows decorated early for Christmas. Feels as if all of the happiness in the world has been gathered in this very place. So, are we gonna get a Christmas miracle, or is Christmas going to be destroyed? Koji takes it all in, burning it into his memory like it's the last thing he'll ever see. Is the world so beautiful because of the horrors that lurk in its shadows? The glow of the city can no longer warm him. Perhaps that is why it seems so precious. Koji watches the city for hours. It feels unreasonably distant, like reading the obituary of someone who loved long ago. He loved long ago. His phone rings at 8 p.m. It's Ryoko. The conversation is short. She hangs up as soon as they decide where to meet. And so ends Todo Koji's final night of peace. Ryoko arrives at the diner at 1 a.m., 1 hour later than agreed upon. 1 a.m.? Well, I don't know. It's just like, okay, the diner's open at 1 a.m. Whatever. She has a heavy-looking duffel bag under her arm. Koji doesn't feel like asking what the bulges represent.
すまんね。いろいろと準備に手間取った。
Ryoko doesn't sound at all apologetic, but Koji decides to just nod expressionlessly. Only a few tables are filled at this hour, like lonely islands in the midst of the vast restaurant. Sending the bleary-eyed waitress away with an order for 2 coffees, Koji and Ryoko are left all alone at a corner of the dining area.
で、調べ物は終わりましたか?
Koji asked bluntly while sipping dutifully from his third cup of watery, tasteless coffee. Yeah, it all comes back, doesn't it? It's like, wasn't that how the story started? They were all like having coffee, and Fuminori saw him as ethnic abominations, and then we switched perspective and saw how normal everyone looked, and that it was Fuminori that was obviously completely insane because of his, perception. And that's one thing I'm thinking, I don't think it's gonna happen, because that would make no sense. Well, it would make sense. I mean, it could make it make sense. But it would be such a... Can you imagine this story ends? It's like, okay, it was all a dream. Fuminori, this whole time, is lying there, His parents just not far away, already passed. He's like, mortally wounded in the vehicle. And then the last thing he sees before he finally passes is Saya. It was all a dream. His last dream. And it was a hell of a trippy ass dream if it were.
待たせただけの甲斐はあると思いたいね。何分確証を得るまでには至ってないんだが。
Fuminoriも相当じれてると思います。こちらから連絡すると言ったきり、丸1日放置してますからね。
そんなにも彼は君との接触を意識してるのか?
サヤっていう名前には露骨なほど反応してました。
The silence that follows, Koji tries to soothe his parched throat with another mouthful of weak coffee.
そうか。
Ryoko says.
やはりサヤなのか。
Mutters. It's obvious that her grimace isn't for the coffee.
今なら、丹保先生はもう答えを知ってるんですね。サヤというのが何なのか。
Koji asked, his tone almost confrontational. Ryoko tries to ignore Koji's question by nursing her coffee, but that only works until the cup is empty. Staring at the brown stain at the bottom of her cup, Ryoko says, her voice hard and flat.
君は私の忠告を無視した愚か者なわけだが、もう一度だけ証拠りもなく言わせてほしい。殿君。君は手を引いて全てを忘れるべきだ。
証拠りもないですね。
Koji replies, smiling bitterly instead of glaring at her like he did before.
俺がまだ先生やFuminoriとは境界線を挟んだ反対側にいるとでも？
君はまだ一番致命的なものまでは見ていない。君にとってこの事件は無二の親友がいきなり正気を失ってに目覚めたっていう ただそれだけの内容なんだろ。
Ryoko continues with a spartan smirk. That's all. Things that Fuminori has done are so horrifying that Koji's only recourse is his only hope of coping. Is to kill the man who was once his friend. Yet despite that, Ryoko makes this nightmare sound like just the beginning. Well, kinda is, isn't it? Koji still doesn't understand where her morbid cynicism comes from, nor does he want to.
それだけじゃないとしたら、残りは先生の妄想なんじゃないですか。
そう思えるならまだ君の傷は浅いってことさ。
Her brusque tone says that she doesn't care whether or not Koji is satisfied with her explanation.
今ならまだ時間が君の傷を癒してくれるだろう。君は最後の一線を踏み越えていない。
It's like, you know, you'll probably heal, you'll probably get over the fact that your best friend in the whole world, you know, turned into a cannibal, even, you know, and a murderer, and even ate the flesh of your girlfriend. Yeah, I don't think you'd ever be able to get over something like that. Koji considers Ryoko's words calmly, without letting himself get emotional like before. Final line, true. Fuminori is somewhere beyond that. Although Koji has gone far enough to be willing to kill Fuminori, he has no intention of eating his enemy's flesh once he's dead. That, at least, still separates the two. Then what about Ryoko, who has treated Koji like an ignorant fool ever since she saved him from the well? How close is she to Fuminori?
先生の傷は俺よりも深いと。
I mean, seriously, Ryoko, what the hell is your deal? You've clearly seen some crazy shit. In response to Koji's biting question, Ryoko's mocking smile turns inward.
この銃はね、実家の父のものなんだ。
Ryoko pats one of her duffel bag's bulges.
こいつがロッカーから消えたせいで、父は責任を問われて地元の猟友会から除名させられた。申し訳ないと思ってるよ。私は両親にとっては自慢の娘なんだ。それが金庫の銃を盗み出すなんて想像もしてないだろ
う。そうするだけの必要が先生にはあったと。
いいや、全然。その頃にはもうオーガイのことは一見落着していた。少なくとも私はそう思っていた。奴は姿を消したきり、もう二度と私の前には現れないだろうと安心してた。この銃で何かを撃とうとか殺そうとか、そういう必要があったわけじゃない。
じゃあなぜ？
眠れなかったんだよ。ただそれだけ。
Ryoko pauses, perhaps needing time to decide how best to explain.
それまではベッドサイドにナタを隠しておいたんだ。夜一人で部屋にいるのが耐えられなくてね。
She continues, choosing her words carefully.
どんなに世界が底抜けにめちゃくちゃになっていこうと、悲鳴を上げて逃げ回る以外の選択肢が自分にはあるんだって。そう納得させるためにはね、部屋の中に何か一つ頼りになる武器を置いておきたかった。
Koji doesn't know what to say. He's amazed, impressed even, that someone with such a serious case of delusional paranoia could function as one of T University's top doctors.
でも、それじゃ大した効き目はなかった。悪夢は日ごとにひどくなっていく一方で、安眠するにはナタじゃまだ足りなかった。それで父の銃を盗んできた。こんな風に重心を詰めるとね、散弾がもっと広範囲に飛び散るようになって殺傷力が増すんだそうだ。アメリカでも重罪になる改造なんだとさ。私はそれをクローゼットの奥に突っ込んで、それでようやく眠れるようになったよ。3日に一晩ぐらいはね。
That's like 2 CGs in a row now. We're gonna run out of spots for further CGs. At this point, Ryoko seems to have gotten everything off her chest. Smile like someone who just finished a hard job she has.
銃はいいよ。 本当に。相手に向かってぶっ放すもよし、それでダメなら自分の口に突っ込んで引き金を引くっていう選択肢もある。
Three CG in a row?
専門家の治療を受けるべきです。
Jesus Christ, we're not gonna get anything for the ending CG wise that's different, are we?
端的な感想ありがとう。でもね、君だって他人事じゃなくなるよ。これ以上先に進むんならね。
Koji is already doubtful that admitting Ryoko was the right thing to do. One thing that he and Ryoko have in common is an unwillingness to leave Fuminori to the proper authorities. Fuminori not only killed Koji's lover and friend, but even went so far as to defile their corpses. Koji isn't about to give him the chance to get off on an insanity plea. No matter what crimes he must commit, Koji will end Fuminori with his own two hands. If he doesn't, he knows that he will never sleep again. He also have a partner in crime, but only when that partner doesn't cause trouble. Ryoko talks big about exposing Ogai's secrets, but she might just have a head full of delusions. So Koji needs to rethink this whole thing.
この先すべてを先生に任せるというのなら、先生のことを信用させてください。
Koji says with unflappable determination.
先生をそこまで追い詰めるほどのものが、オーガイっていう男にあったという証拠。彼が何をしでかしたのか、すべて俺に見せてください。
Finally gonna get an answer.
まったく。
Ryoko smokes and shakes her head ruefully, but puts up no further resistance. She pulls a stack of paper from her bag and hands it to Koji. The loose leaf sheets are bound with string.
一行読んだら続きは次のページの同じ行だ。まあ触りだけでも読んでみるといい。
As director, Koji looks through the handwritten pages and gives up after less than 3 minutes.
怪奇 SF の草稿か何かですか。罪のない悪ふざけですね。彼にはこんな子供っぽい趣味があったわけだ。
Working on, some Lovecraftian horror. Koji liberally scoffs at the document, doing everything he can to show contempt for what he just read. At the same time, he tries desperately not to remember the mountain of bones in Ogai's bathtub and the unidentifiable smell permeating Fuminori's house.
1年前、オーガイがうちの大学に持ってきた資料も、その文章と同じぐらい突拍子もないものだった。
Wait, Ryoko says, coldly ignoring Koji's disdain. Could it be that he brought some of Saya's creations, and that's how she caught on to him? And maybe some other people at the hospital also caught on to that. But then, wouldn't there be other ones trying to find Ogai as well? I mean, surely someone else has to have known about Ogai as well, or maybe she was the only one that stumbled upon these specimens.
奴は大学の機材を無断で使ってこっそり検査をしようとしたらしい。だがドジを踏んで露見した。そこから先はもう大騒ぎでね。オーガイが使おうとした機材から察するに、奴はそいつを P3 レベルのバイオハザードとして取り扱うつもりだったらしい。
Yeah, I jokingly thought up a scenario where and then, the main characters from the Resident Evil games to resolve this. And they don't deal with Eldritch abominations. All I mean, some of the shit they face kind of takes on crazy forms. So they'd be like, I've seen some shit. You don't face me anymore, bitch. Take it down.
その程度の用心で十分だったのかどうかも知れたもんじゃないんだが。近隣の住民を退去させるべきだったんだが、まあそこは偉い人たちが偉い人なりに頑張って全部なかったことにしてくれたよ。
Oh.
その代わり私たちはキャンバス中のネズミを一匹残らず駆除する羽目になった。ネズミとかつてネズミだった何かをね。
So he did bring in the modified rats. So I guess also there were some civilian casualties from the sounds of things potentially. Their first meeting, Ryoko brushed Koji off when he asked about Ogai and Mashihiko. Now, however, she's telling the whole story. Her voice is flat and emotionless as a machine's.
事の究明には結局皆がサジを投げた。オーガイが持ち込んだ資料がどういう起源のものなのか、誰にも突き止めることはできなかった。まあ結局、みんな賢明だったわけだ。理性は理性、ざれ言はざれ言。そういう線引きを危うくしないで済む程度ってもんを心得ていた。でもあいにく、当時の私はそこまで賢明じゃなかった。
Ryoko pauses for a moment, then grins with self-disdain so maniacal that it strikes Koji like a blow.
あれこれ探って暴き出して、私はオーガイが何をしていたのか知った。彼が関わっていた連中や彼をそそのかした連中も突き止めた。ナタと添い寝するようになったのはその頃からだ。この世の理性ってものがどんなにタガの緩んだ穴だらけの頼りない代物なのか理解するようになったのはね。
You know, it's just weird now. So did other people know about Saya as well? And we're just like, yeah, guy, that sounds brilliant. As though fleeing from the quiet insanity that he keeps glimpsing in Ryoko, Koji finds himself paging through the loose leaf in his hands. He reads a line at random. Organism's flesh is not spherous, but simply it is an extremely tough substance that expands and contracts not in one direction, but in all directions. This means that slashing or piercing damage has very little effect. Since flesh can contract in any direction freely, any wound will be sealed instantly. It's nonsense. What else can it be? If he lets himself believe it, then everything else, all the logical rules that define the world, will be rendered meaningless.
じゃあ先生は信じるんですね。この内容を。
疑う理由なんてとっくの昔に見失ったからね。
Ryoko reaches into her duffel bag again, this time removing a stainless steel thermostat that looks able to hold about 500 cc's of liquid.
こいつが鞘を倒す切り札だ。調達するのに手間取ったが、多分こいつは敵面に効く。
ついていけません。
Koji snaps, no longer able to disguise his frustration.
鞘が何だろうともうどうでもいいです。俺は文則を終わらせることができればそれでいい。あなたには任せておけません。
I mean, guys, you're in a public location. What if someone overhears your plot to kill someone?
そうか。
Now that she's given up on persuading him, her scent is swift and cold. At this moment, Koji's fate has likely ceased to matter to her.
いいだろう。君は先坂文則を仕留めるために全力を尽くすといい。君の邪魔はしないし、君が仕損じた時にはきっちりと私が帳尻を合わせてやる。
Despite the determination in her voice, Koji can't bring himself to trust this paranoid doctor completely.
あなたの持ち合わせている理由で文則を殺せるんですか？
潔癖症なんだよ、私は。ああやって人の世界の拉致外に隠れ住んでいるような奴らが我慢ならない。奴らは寝室のゴキブリだ。枕元でカサコソ這い回る音を無視して眠れるか。見つけ次第殺して駆逐する。そうせずにはいられない。私の精神衛生上の問題だ。
So it's like, it's not for the good of the world to eliminate them. It's simply so that I'll have peace of mind. Her reasons are similar to Koji's own. He doesn't want to bring a murderer to justice, nor does he want revenge for old man Yo. If he did, he could have left everything to the police. I mean, to be fair, you know, that ended where Koji was like in a kind of mental institute for the rest of his life and Saya never returned. That seemed like a pretty depressing outcome for him, so you know. I feel like, you know, him basically, you know, being in prison for the rest of his life would, you know, be far worse than just killing him. Yes, I'm bringing him for you, Omi and you. If he did, he could have left. The least reason he can't is that the villain is Fuminori. Man he believed was his friend has turned his whole world upside down. Fing and everyone were apart in this madness is to blame, and that includes himself for allowing the betrayal. His self-loathing, his desire to destroy, is what's keeping him on his feet.
さあ、それじゃあチェックメイトに駒を進めよう。咲坂君を呼び出すといい。